Hi, we're here with Tom Begich, who is the master of education in the bush. What's going on?
Lots of stuff going on, of course. Busy legislative session. I'm down here doing some work for the Citizens for the Educational Advancement of Alaska's Children, but I keep my eye on all that stuff going on.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
But it's a tough year for decision making. It shouldn't be as tough as it is, but it is. I know that we're looking at, on the operating side, some significant cuts coming out of the House. Some warnings from the Senate that they're going to not just reaffirm those cuts, but make them worse.
Yeah, I understand that there's a lot of buildings that are under construction, and if the envelope is done, take a back seat.
Well, there's a couple of, so on the capital side, there's a couple of major things happening. For concern of all the areas where there are boroughs is the bill that's coming out of the Senate from Senator McKinnon that would look at suspending what they call debt reimbursement for school construction. This has been the mainstay for 30, 40 years, and is the reason why we have schools that are in reasonable shape. Just yesterday, or just 2 days ago, in Senate in Senate Education Committee, they actually made the date of that, if it were to pass, effective this past January.
So it's retroactive. People
Yes.
love that.
Yeah, and that'll mean that the Anchorage bond, schools that are on the Anchorage bond ballot this time, won't be supported, if it passes, by state reimbursement of some percentage of those bonds, as has been the case in the past.
Which what was the voters were expecting when they voted to okay those bonds?
Well, when the Assembly voted to okay those bonds, they thought they were going to still have access to reimbursement. And even as late as 2 days ago, May 1st was the effective date. But to be fair, the entire Senate committee voted for that, minority and the majority, arguing that apples and apples as opposed to apples and oranges. If we're going to be fair, let's be fair. But in the long run, the question really that the legislature has to answer is, what is our priority here? Because if education is a priority, the state does have billions of dollars in its savings accounts that are accessible, and you have to actually weigh that piece to it. And I don't know if you saw Dermot Cole's piece in the Dispatch News recently. It's very interesting. He pointed out that for years now we've been making more money as a state, not off oil, but of earnings, off of our renewable resource of capital here. At a certain point, some really tough decisions have to be made by the administration, by the majorities in the House and the Senate, about what they're going to do to create a budget picture. We've kicked that can down the road since 1988.
I think
it's about time we stopped.
Yeah, it's caught up with us now.
It has, and the number one suffering group is going to be kids, and then the number two suffering group is going to be you and me when those kids come out of their various environments without an adequate education.
And they need to take care of things for us.
Exactly, or not, if they're not educated.
Which has been known to happen once or twice. People make short-term decisions when they don't have the great opportunity to look back and see what works and why, and what doesn't.
Yeah, one of those areas is pre-K.
Oh, they just whacked pre-K.
Yeah, that battle's not over yet.
That was a hard hit.
That is a philosophical difference. One philosophy is that pre-K doesn't work, and that's not based on any data that's out there. The other philosophy is that pre-K does work, and it's based on all the data that's out there, regardless of the organization. Pretty much all data shows, which is why red states like Oklahoma and Florida, Georgia, have adopted pre-K, voluntary universal pre-K. And blue states have as well. It doesn't matter. This is irrespective of party politics. It's about creating capacity, learning potential, and earning potential in the long run, and it's short-sighted to cut that.
I remember when I was in high school, you're talking back early 80s.
Yeah.
We talked then about the importance of pre-K because it was obvious then that if kids start school a little bit early, get the skills they need, they can hit the ball running when they get to kindergarten.
Absolutely.
Not every child needs that.
Not every child does.
But a lot of them do.
It's not, people talk about it as glorified daycare, but it's not.
It's not.
The thing is that we know from brain science, and this is a very quick thing, but from 0 to 2, all of those synaptical pieces of the brain are connecting, are building and developing, millions and millions of them. But from 2 until approximately 10, you're really using, the ones you use are the ones you retain. The rest of them get culled out. We really think it's critical that we promote pre-K. In the lowest performing school districts in this state, the universal pre-K that we proposed and that has been active from the past administration and that this administration supports has led to outcomes that we are now beginning to see the results of. By third grade, those kids where there were no proficient youth are now having substantial numbers of kids that are doing well on testing, showing proficiency, commanding the language, and are prepared to learn. We need that, because otherwise we're looking at a future where these kids have no options, no jobs, they move into delinquency or other bad behaviors.
And then we're paying for
And then
it
we're
anyway.
paying significantly more for it.
And in bad ways.
Well, because you're paying for it out of your own pocket, as well as the state's paying for it in institutional care and those kinds of things.
Which is a very expensive way to do pre-K.
I
That's
think
what
it's a
I always
cheaper
like
way.
being proactive. You know, if you find something that costs a couple pennies, nickels here, you just suck it up and do it, knowing if you don't, there's going to be dollars down
Exactly.
there. Because do we really think by the time these kids hit the system, we're going to have more money?
No,
It's going to
of
be
course.
easier. We're going to be flushed then. It won't matter.
Yeah, that's a very good
The
point.
rest of their lifetime is going to be fine.
I like your word, preactive. I think we should be preactive about pre-K. I like that a lot. I may use that.
Well,
Not reactive, but preactive.
Reactive, yeah, get up in front of it. We have to take a commercial break. Stick with us. We'll be right back with Tom Begich in just a moment.